Each year, The Australian compiles a list of the richest people in Australia. Mining and media moguls still dominate the upper ranks of the list, but there are more and more younger self-made entrepreneurs joining the ranks. Joining us live now is John Stensholt, the editor of The List and business journalist at the Australian newspaper. John, good to see you. Thanks for your time. We've seen part of this list published today. Three women are standout inclusions in the top ranks this year. Take us through those top few spots on the list.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got three women that control about $100 billion worth of wealth these days, which I think is really, really interesting. So Gina Rinehart, obviously number one, the mining magnate. She's an amazing success story. About $50 billion we've got a valuation at now. We're probably being a little bit conservative, would you believe? That's probably how good her Hancock prospecting's going. Nicola Forrest comes in at joint number 2 and 3 with Andrew Forrest. Fortescue, they've split. They hold their wealth together still. She's got a little bit more in Fortescue shares. They have about $37 billion. Then you get down to number 10 and 11, which is Melanie Perkins and Cliff Obrecht. The Canvas success story, almost $11 billion, $10.9 billion. So combine the three women there, you're getting close to $100 billion.
They are remarkable figures. And when you mentioned Gina Rinehart, she is just getting that much richer, isn't she? A cool, $13 billion or so added to her wealth in this year's list.
Yeah, look, I think in percentage terms, it's only something between, I think 25% or something like that, maybe 30%. So in that regard, when you compare it to other mining companies that are listed on exchanges in the past year, it's absolutely in line. So the numbers are astronomical, clearly. I mean, this is a company that's got $20 billion sitting on its balance sheet. That's how big her private company has become these days. So, her wealth, I guess that, it reflects the success of that iron ore mining, the huge mines that they've got, the huge plans they've got too, right? So they hold heaps of agricultural holdings. There's also, dries of bone and all these other assets she's buying as well. She's a quintessential Australian, I guess, passionate person about our country and also investing in it too.
And so, John, which other billionaires round out the top 10?
So you've got Anthony Pratt. He's a manufacturing cardboard box maker, $27 billion. You get down to Harry Triguboff, about $26 billion. He's at number 5. So, he builds Sydney apartments mostly. So he's one of the people that just does domestically. Then you've got the two Atlassian co-founders, Mike Cannon-Brookes and Scott Farquhar, $26 billion odd dollars each. Mike's just ahead of Scott. You get to Clive Palmer at number 8, so $22 billion. And Kerry Stokes, $11 billion. So he's gone up a lot this year. Look, he's got his media empire, obviously, but he's also got a lot of investments in mining services and everything related to that sector too.
We do have to wait for the full list to be published tomorrow, I know, in The Australian, but can you give us a bit of a preview as to which industries are really going gangbusters and creating all that wealth at the moment?
Yeah, there's a lot of young people on the list. That's what I really like about it. So we have 25 new names, so 10% of the list turns over in that regard. So, look, you've got young guys, the ones behind the high smiles, the toothpaste success story, Adrian Portelli, who's a young billionaire, Tim Heath, who's a cryptocurrency magnate based in Estonia, of all places, would you believe. So that's the thing. So there's a lot of new technology companies coming through and entrepreneurs and maybe taking retail as well as taking it overseas. So the great thing about being in Australia with globalisation and technology is you can build a global business from home, take it overseas and get wealthier quicker than ever before.
It is remarkable. So just overall, how many billionaires roughly do we have in Australia and just how rich do you have to be to make it into that top 250?
So we've got 159 billionaires this year. That includes some joint holdings, but that's the biggest amount we've ever had. And you got to have $590 million to make the 250. So the 250th person is actually a guy based in Switzerland. He's a CFO, so he's an accountant for a huge multinational, Glencore, Stephen Kalman. $590 million is the cut-off. Look, it just keeps rising and rising. I think just goes to show that, it's a global story. If you're making money overseas, you're making it in US dollars. Obviously, it converts pretty well back here to Aussie dollars these days and things like that. So the list is getting younger, people are going more global, and there's more women on the list too. So it is changing. And it shows you how business is changing too here in Australia.
John, really appreciate you joining us and taking us through that. And I'm sure that our viewers will be keen to pick up a copy of the full Rich 250 list in The Australian tomorrow. Thanks again.